I'm a talking head. I love to talk, and if I get a laugh, I lied years ago. And
Alright, y'all. So when you hear the name of Arsenio Hall, y'all probably think of late night laughs, groundbreaking TV moments, but after decades in the spotlight, the comedy legend revealed some truly shocking stuff that ended up leaving fans pretty stunned. Curious to know? Well, watch the video, we got some truth for you. Born in Cleveland on February 12, 1956, Arsenio didn't exactly have your average childhood. He's been around for a while, didn't start out wanting to be the king of late night. While most kids were busy playing outside, he was busy learning magic tricks. No, believe it or not, but as he got older, that love for entertainment morphed into comedy, and he set his sights on making people laugh. After his parents split, Arsenio spent most of his time with his mom, Annie. And despite all the ups and downs, Arsenio, no matter what life threw at him, always had his eyes on the prize of becoming a star. So by 1979, Arsenio packed up, moved to Chicago to get serious about stand-up, and it didn't take long for his talent to actually get noticed. Chicago, with a pretty lively comedy scene, was the perfect place for him to really dig into his craft. He had sharp wit, he had a unique style, and it all helped him stand out, long before people were buzzing about him as a rising star on the comedy circuit.
you're just glad to be there, and you see Robin Williams walk past you, and then Billy Crystal comes in, and a motorcycle comes to the front, and you realize it's Jay Leno and his friends, and you're here.
Now, the big moment, one of the big tipping points at least of his early career, was actually getting to open for music legends like Aretha Franklin and Tina Turner. Those legends, y'all. Now, these weren't just any gigs, these were a pretty big deal. You gotta warm up a crowd that's really just waiting to see music royalty. But nonetheless, Arsenio was nailing it. He would turn these shows into a platform to showcase his talent. He had to be quick on his feet and keep the audience entertained even when they were there for something completely different. And the fact that he could win them over says a lot about his versatility and skill. These tours ended up being huge for him. Performing in front of a massive, sometimes pretty tough crowd gave him thick skin and taught him to handle anything that came his way. It would also help him grow a bigger fan base, reaching people who otherwise probably wouldn't have known him. Now, while his stand-up career was taking off, Arsenio was also starting to dip his toes into TC. Now, one of his first gigs would be hosting I'm sorry, let me check my notes here. The half-hour comedy hour. What even? Anyway, on the half-hour comedy not hour, he got to do a mix of stand-up and sketches. It was a chance for him to show off his range and get some experience in front of a camera. Another early TV role would be being the sidekick on Thick of the Night with Alan Thicke. The show didn't last long, but it gave Arsenio some good practice on the late night scene. Now, hanging with Thicke taught him a lot about how to connect with the live audience and people at home. Even though the show was short-lived, it was a stepping stone for bigger things to come.
Hit your baby toe on a piece of furniture. Ooh, yeah, see? I see the look. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That shit hurt. Yeah, you can't say fudge nugget. You got to say shit. I believe the Pope would say shit if he hit his toe.
Then 1988 rolled around and boom, Arsenio would land a big role in Coming to America alongside Eddie Murphy. That was a game changer. The movie was a smash hit and he didn't just play one role. He would actually play several hilarious characters in the film, each more ridiculous than the last. Not only was this a boost to his comedy career, it showed everyone he had serious acting chops too. People were starting to take notice to the guy.
After Carson, I went after everything he leaves over. The people that watch Johnny, I went after their kids. And instead of competing with them, I just tried to find my own niche.
When you think of Arsenio Hall, you think of
Now by 1989, Arsenio would really hit the jackpot with the Arsenio Hall Show. And if you weren't around to see that, let me tell you, you missed out. It was not just another late night show, right? It was a vibe. His mix of celebrity guests, music performances, comedy sketches was totally fresh at the time. And let's not forget the signature woof 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 chant that took over pop culture, at least for the, 10 years following it. If you wanted to see stars and hear stories you really couldn't catch anywhere else, that show was the place to be. Now, obviously, no trailblazer's path is going to be all smooth sailing. In 1991, things get a little heated when some Queer Nation activists confront Arsenio on his show, accusing him of not booking enough queer community guests. It wasn't a lighthearted moment, but Arsenio didn't shy away from the conversation and instead stood his ground while still opening up a dialogue. Pretty gutsy move on his part, all things considered.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, man. Why don't I have any gay guests on my show? Wait, I'm sorry, why don't I have any gay guests on my show? Well, there are a lot of gay guests who really don't like to talk about their sexual preference, so we don't know whether they're gay or not.
Later in 1994, he would interview Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. The backlash there was pretty huge. A lot of people were not happy, and it would play a role in the show's cancellation later that year. Despite the tough pill to swallow, Arsenio always stayed true to who he was, even when it wasn't easy.
We were shocked at the attention that it got on the day the booking was announced. A guy that puts you on and the next day, I am with the Nation of Islam. I am the same guy I was the day before. I bring people here and I talk to them because I think you might be interested in these people.
Now, after the Arsenio Hall Show got canceled, he didn't disappear from the spotlight at all. He just took a step back for a little bit.
My resignation letter was long before the Farrakhan booking. That's on record. It went to a man named Kerry McCluggage at Paramount. And I was still trying to do great shows. But the bottom line is, at the time I resigned, I don't think I knew how to spell Farrakhan.
He'd make appearances here and there. He'd even try to bring his show back in 2013. And although the reboot didn't hit quite the same, it definitely demonstrated that he still had the talent and he still had an audience. Talking about Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy's friendship, it had always been something fans are curious about. These two first met in the early 80s and hit it off quickly, both personally and professionally. Their chemistry was on full display in Coming to America, which we mentioned prior, where they portrayed multiple characters and cracked everyone up. And despite their strong bond, rumors of a feud have popped up over the years, mainly because of their competitive careers, but both have squashed that, saying it's all love and respect between them.
I saw a young man on solid gold, and he did stand up, and I think you all look like you could be brothers. I want you to look for Arsenio when you get out there. So
Arsenio has even showed how much Eddie helped him out, like getting him his role in Coming to America, which was a big game changer for his career. Eddie, in turn, has always praised Arsenio's talent. In 2021, they reunited for Coming to America, proving their bond is still going strong both on and off screen. Outside of movies, they've had each other's backs through tough times. Arsenio has mentioned before how Eddie supported him when the Arsenio Hall Show was canceled. Turns out their friendship is rock solid even off the big screen.
You want carbono wax with that? Wait, very much. When you're in the position that
You're probably wondering the reason behind Arsenio's break. Well, it turns out that his son, Arsenio Jr., was born in 1999, and obviously that's going to be his top priority as a dad, and he wasn't afraid to step away from the grind to focus on raising his kid. That's certainly not something you see every day in Hollywood, but Arsenio has always done things his own way. And as for all those rumors about a beef with Eddie Murphy, nah, totally bogus.
You have nothing, hey, Chief, you have nothing to do with any of it. Any of it. It's some cats that run this thing. Nah, I'm not doing this. And a lot of people gonna say, oh, he's crazy and rock the vote and all that. There are a bunch of cats that run this planet, and they just wait on the higher power to handle things.
So I just did a show with Arsenio Hall, by the way, one of the nicest men I've ever met. I've never met Arsenio. Arsenio's a fucking legend, but people don't understand.
Yeah.
Arsenio, he goes, Godfrey, man, good seeing you, brother. I've been watching you. You know how his finger? I said, Godfrey, I've been watching you.
Yeah, he was way back there when he pointed that
finger.
finger.
At the end of the day, Arsenio Hall was changing the game. He still changes the game to this day. Whether he's cracking us up in movies, shaking up the late night TV space, or standing his ground in the face of controversy, he's always doing it with heart, humor, and a whole lot of style.
I was thinking, I don't want to go back a failure.
His legacy in entertainment, we're still feeling it today. And he's paved the way for countless comedians and entertainers to follow on the trails that he blazed for them. Arsenio Hall remains forever a legend.